Okay, we're going to verify number 41. Number 41 says that we have the cosine of theta over 1 minus the sine of theta equals the secant of theta plus the tangent of theta. So what we want to do is we want that left-hand side of the equation to look exactly like the right-hand side. So one of the things that we can do is we can multiply by conjugates. So remember, conjugates are a plus b times a minus b, which gives you a squared minus b squared. The outer and the inner cancel out. So when you multiply by conjugates, you end up with a difference of squares. And a difference of squares is exactly what we want on this problem. I'm going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 1 plus the sine of theta. And then, of course, the right-hand side is going to stay exactly the same. It's going to be the secant of theta plus the tangent of theta. And we are not going to manipulate that side at all. We're not moving anything over to that side. We're not going to take anything away from that side. It's going to stay those two terms for the entire problem. Now, the denominator is going to become 1 minus sine squared of theta. And then the numerator is cosine of theta. I'm not going to multiply that through because I'm really interested in that denominator. Now the denominator, remember that sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. If I subtract sine squared of theta from both sides, I've got on the left-hand side cosine squared of theta equals 1 minus sine squared of theta. And you'll get used to these the more practice you get. If you don't get any practice, then you won't recognize things. This is one that you're going to recognize. 1 minus sine squared of theta is cosine squared of theta. So step 3, cosine of theta times the quantity 1 plus sine of theta over cosine squared of theta. And now the cosine in the numerator is going to cancel out with one of the cosines in the denominator. So one of these cancels out with one of these. So we just have cosine of theta. So we've got 1 plus sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. Now, the whole reason we did what we did is because we started with a binomial denominator that you can't do anything with this fraction. But when we change that binomial denominator to a monomial denominator, now that denominator goes with both terms in the numerator. That's how fractions work. 1 over cosine of theta plus sine of theta over cosine of theta. 1 over cosine is secant of theta, and sine over cosine is tangent of theta, and that's exactly what we wanted to transform the left-hand side to look like.